What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, joined by the one, the only. He's returned for his Kansas City Chiefs. It's Jake, the young gun. What's going on, Jake?
Dramatic pause, as always. It's weird. It's honestly weird to be back doing this. I never got nervous before we did videos. I got nervous before this one because I haven't done this in, oh God.
Couple of years?
I guess, yeah, like last September, or September 2016. Yeah, I was on one video back in January, early last year, but I don't really count that because I just kind of sat there while you guys talked, and you guys are like, because remember it was like a raw review.
Yeah.
Didn't know what was going on, so I said like 2 words the whole time, so I don't really even count that one. But yeah.
Yeah, Jake's back here. He's ready to talk about his team. He's ready to talk about the Chiefs. They take on the Tennessee Titans. They take on one of the only teams in the playoffs, the other one being the Buffalo Bills, that have been scored on more than they've scored this season. It's not a very good AFC playoffs.
I saw that. Isn't their thing like -72 or something like that?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Isn't their point differential like -72 or something crazy?
It's pretty bad. I mean, like it's not good. I mean, the Chiefs, on the other hand, are riding a 4-game winning streak. So the Chiefs are looking good going in the playoffs after kind of a on and off season. I mean, they started off great. They were one of probably the best team in the league through 6 weeks. And then they went on this stretch of just terrible games. They were losing to bad teams like the Jets. And then they got back in it, and they're in the playoffs. So we're going to just discuss the game. We're going to talk about the Chiefs offense versus the Titans defense. We're going to talk about the Chiefs defense versus the Titans offense. I'll try and give more of the Titans perspective. Obviously, Jake will give more of the Chiefs perspective. But first, I just want to ask the fan here, Jake, what do you think about the Chiefs season? Like, what are the strengths of the team? What are the weaknesses of the team? And then what are your chances of making it to the Super Bowl?
Well, I found it weird because this season was almost like a reverse of what typically happens. I go back to last year and my sophomore year, my freshman year. Typically, we struggle at the beginning of the year and get better. So what I mean by that is my freshman year, we were 2-3. And then we won like 5 straight. We were 7-3. We rounded out at like 9-7. My sophomore year, of course, we had the legendary season. We were 1-5. We were the only team to start off at 1-5 and win 10 straight games. Went to the playoffs, beat the Texans. Last year, my sophomore year, we were like 2-2, kind of struggling. Then we won like 10 straight, or 10 of the next 12, not 10 straight. Finished out at 12-4. So typically, we have our struggles early in the season. So this year, when we were 5-0 at the beginning of the season, I was like, no one can stop us because we typically struggled. But then we had that middle season struggle. So it was weird. It's been like what most Chiefs fans would have expected, but we just had the struggles at a later point than what we typically have them. And I honestly would have rather started out at like 0-6 and won the last 10 than start off at 5-0, and because we would have been riding more momentum. But we turned it around and won the last 4, so that's all that matters, and we're in the playoffs. This team, I like the way this team is built. We have a lot of veteran leaders. We signed Darrelle Revis, obviously. We keep signing and cutting C.J. Spiller. I don't necessarily consider that a win or a loss. We're at 5 now. Honestly, let's be honest, guys. I
did see C.J. Spiller at the Clemson game.
Oh, that's awesome. I think we should all just root for the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl just to see how many times they can cut and re-sign Spiller between now and the Super Bowl. Like maybe we can get like twice a week, maybe even. So, it's been a fun game there. The one thing I don't like is that our defense and offense can't seem to get along. Whenever our defense plays good, our offense is terrible. Like against the Giants, our defense gave up 12 points. And the 2 points we gave up, or not the 2 points, the 12 points that we gave up were all off of turnovers inside our own territory. But then we only scored 9 points in return. So it kind of sucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then we have weeks like the Jets game when we score 31 points and lose. So it's like they can't. But then but lately we have been able to kind of get it together, and that's how we're going to get to the Super Bowl. Is we have to have that consistency that we had against like New England when we had the 2 4th-down stops and playing good, even though they gave up 27 points. They played really good, and they were able to kind of lock down at the end, and our offense was able to pull away. Against the Eagles, it was a close game, but the defense came through at the end. They recovered that onside kick and, scored that touchdown at the end, but our defense didn't choke the lead. They did just enough to pull out the win, and the offense put the points on the board. And same thing against the Texans. I can go on and on. So we just have to keep doing that and hope that we don't play the Steelers because we're cursed against them. About that, but I am also kind of serious because I get stressed out thinking about that. This Chiefs team is one that I'm really interested in. Mitch and I were talking about this in DMs the other day. I really like the scheme that they run. It's a college-level triple option RPO scheme, which I absolutely love. And I look forward to Matt Nagy really doing what he does best. That's one thing that I think all people should be optimistic about. Calling the shots, play calling wise, it's Matt Nagy, so we don't have to worry about Andy Reid.
I do want to ask Jake, did you get him a watch?
Get him a what? No, I did not. I should have.
You may have to send that watch pretty quickly.
I should have. Well, because I remember a couple years ago we played the Patriots in the playoff game, and it took us like 3 minutes to score when we were down by 2 scores, and they asked Andy Reid and Doug Peterson why it took us so long to score, and they said, well, we didn't want to give Tom Brady the ball back. Like 14! Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. No, like Andy Reid, Andy Reid historically has been terrible with clock management. So I think that is a pro. I mean, Nagy has been really good with his play calling. Give him that. I think the Chiefs have been way better offense this year than I've seen them the last couple of years. They've been actually probably one of the best offenses in the league consistently. Even when their defense has probably been the worst part of their team. But like even when they're playing poorly, you said they were kind of inconsistent on both sides of the ball. I think the more consistent part of their team has been their offense. They haven't had too much trouble scoring. There's been certain games, obviously that's going to happen, but I think teams should be optimistic about the Chiefs scoring at the very least. We'll talk about the defense, but yeah, and then Andy Reid at least can focus a little bit more on the adjustments of the game and the timeouts and the clock and stuff like that, and not just focus on, okay, I'm running this play and this play and this play. Because Andy Reid's a great play caller, and he always has been, but it takes too much focus to do both.
Yeah, I've kind of always adhered to that, letting the coordinators do the play calling. It's kind of what I like about New England and what Belichick does. He lets McDaniels and Patricia do a lot, adjustments and things like that where he sees fit. Yeah, there was only 2 games where I was really upset with the offense. It was Buffalo. We scored 10 points, I think, against Buffalo. I think it was 16-10 was the score, and then the Giants game. So there was really only 2 games that was like that when the offense was pathetic. So I feel really confident. I also do like the Titans offense, though. The Titans have an interesting scheme on offense, and I think it'll be a good way both sides. Both teams kind of run. We run some similar stuff. Obviously, they like to run some stuff with Mariota, some of that option stuff, but they also have a lot of different things that they do with Henry and stuff like that. So I think it'll be it'll be good. It'll be good for both teams. I think they kind of match up well.
Okay, let's talk about the Chiefs offense. We'll start with their strength. So talking about the Titans, I'd overall say that they have a good front seven. They have guys like Jarrell Casey, Brian Arakpo, at linebacker. What's his name? He was like one of the leading tacklers in the NFL. Forgot his name for some reason. Anyways, I'll get back to you on that. So they have a good front seven. I believe they're ranked 4th against the run, and that's their strength of their defense. Secondary wise, I mean, they have a couple of bright spots. They have Bird in the back end at safety, who's one of the leaders in interceptions. They have a rookie in Adoree Jackson, who's probably their best corner. And overall, though, I would say that their secondary and their pass defense has struggled even against some bad passing teams this season. Dick LeBeau is their defensive coordinator. One of the interesting points about their defense is it's built on that same scheme that the Steelers like to play. So that's one of the interesting parts I wanted to bring up to you, Jake, is Dick LeBeau, of course, he's longtime Steelers defensive coordinator. They're going to be playing a lot of the same things. I wonder what they're going to try and do that the Steelers did to the Chiefs and what they have the last couple of years to the Chiefs and what the Titans try to do. Do you see any similarities with the Titans? And really, what have the Steelers done against the Chiefs defensively to your offense that has kind of allowed the Chiefs to struggle in those games?
Well, this might not be as relevant. We played the Titans the last season, and we did lose that game to them by that last second field goal. And I did remember having a Steelers-like feeling in that game, just like the certain frustrations I got. I feel like they do a really good job of just like knowing like what our reads are and knowing how to react quickly to it. They had guys, James Harrison's obviously a Patriot now, but when he played there, he obviously always goes 100% on every play. I mean, he's, how old, and you saw him play good the other day, and it was the same thing when he played at Pittsburgh. Their players just, I feel like they react fast, and those guys were built great to stop our defense. And I think with the Titans, it's kind of the same thing. Arakpo's a good guy that comes in. I felt like they lost one of their biggest strengths, McCourty, when he went to Cleveland. But they've obviously been fine without him. It wasn't as big of a hit as what I thought. I thought that was going to be big to them when he went to Cleveland, but it obviously wasn't. I think the Chiefs. I feel like sometimes we go into a panic mode when something doesn't work out. Like there's been times when we go to run the shovel option and it ends up like getting deflected or something because someone gets the read on defense, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of go into a panic mode. And I think what we need to focus on is just doing what we do. That's something that I just always say is just do what you do, just stay true to yourself. And I think if we just stick to our offense and same thing over and over again, that's not what I mean by that, but don't automatically panic because something doesn't work the first time you try it. Just try to work through what they do, and I expect them to hit us with a lot of zone blitzes. Honestly, that's very Dick LeBeau, and obviously because he's the that was a big part of what he does, and I actually like that scheme a lot. So I think it'll be interesting. I think they'll try to mess with some of our reads because obviously the keys are the linebackers and the ends. So I could see some, them dropping a defensive end back into a pass coverage and blitzing the safety, and we make the wrong read, and that's how they end up making a few stops. But it'll be a few adjustments, and I think we'll adjust well to it. And I think it'll be a close one because I think that they'll mess with our reads a little bit, like I said, with some of those zone blitzes. But I think we'll adjust to it quickly. I hope at least.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, like you said, they play a very heavily zone defense. And what I've noticed is kind of like they've been very good at taking away the big play from Kansas City in the past couple of years with the Steelers. I just wonder if, like you brought up, the Titans did beat them last year, so I wonder how much carryover there is to that. But yeah, that's just one of the interesting things to bring up. I look at this game for the Chiefs offense, and I think this is going to be a big Kelsey Hill game. I think this is going to be a big passing game. Just looking at the strengths of the Titans again, I think, Kareem Hunt's awesome and their run game's been very good. And obviously they're a complementary offense. They like to run and pass off that and stuff like that. But I just look, Alex Smith's been pretty good this year. And I think they can hit some good down the field throws to Hill. I don't really see a corner that can quite match up with him on every down. And then Travis Kelce, I really don't see anybody on their defense that I could see consistently taking him away. So I think that more than anything, Kelce could be that X factor to the game, and then Hill could maybe give you a couple big plays in the passing game. But I think this is going to be a big Alex Smith game. Do you see the same thing, or do you see something maybe a little bit different?
No, I think Alex is gonna. I think he's gonna have a big game. He might not. I don't know if he'll have a big yardage game, but I could definitely see him getting some good touchdowns. I could see Kareem getting a few big runs in there that set us up in good position. Then we, throw some passes with Alex that get in there. I could actually see Alex getting a lot of rushing yards in this game because it's gonna be a cold one. I don't know what the forecast is for Saturday in KC, but I live about 6 hours, actually not even 6, about 4.5 away from KC, and it's supposed to be like -2 where I live, so it'll probably be lower around in there. If you could look it up or something, you could probably get it. It's going to be cold though, around here in Missouri, at least I know. So I could see him trying some more. I could see him getting some big runs in there too. Kelsey's obviously always going to have a big game. We use Kelsey in an interesting way in our offense. He's even different than Gronk. Kelsey does take a lot of a commanding presence in our offense, and like when you take him away, it kind of stunts us, our growth, and we have to kind of depend on Hill and Hunt after that. Someone coined our offense the Y ISO offense, Y being Kelsey, that's where he is, X, Y receivers and stuff like that. So, and
I do notice that they do utilize Kelsey more as like a kind of like a gadget / receiver more than like say a Gronk would. Gronk's more of the traditional inline tight end. He does split out, but like Kelsey, they use him on the little option plays. They'll give him the ball in the backfield. They'll split him out wide. They'll put him kind of in a slot role. So they'll move him a lot, and they obviously do a really good job of that. But like that's what I just expect from them. I don't see the Titans doing much to stop them. So yeah, I think the offense should have a pretty good day for the Chiefs. And then for your defense, I was just searching up like the stats for the defense. I know they're 28th total in yards against, and they're 25th against the run. And I think they're even worse against the pass. Like yardage-wise, the Chiefs usually yardage-wise, they're more of a bend but don't break defense. They kind of rely on a lot of interceptions and turnovers. This year, they haven't been able to get that as much. And that's kind of been the reason why their defense hasn't been as good. Also, losing their best player on defense in week 1 wasn't a good thing. So they lost Eric Berry. That's going to be a big thing. You're obviously playing Delaney Walker, who's probably the best receiver on the Titans in terms of he's a tight end. He's probably the best target that they have. But I look at this game, and I like what I've seen a little bit more from the Chiefs defense as of late. They had a big game against the Chargers, especially at home. It just seems like they're more confident. The crowd gets into it. They get a little bit more pressure. They can cause a couple more turnovers. And I haven't been confident in Marcus Mariota all year. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns this year. He's just not looked good, especially throwing the ball down the field. I think the key to this game, if the Titans are going to win it, I think the key is they need to run the ball effectively. If they're not able to run the ball effectively, especially on the early downs, then they're going to be put into terrible situations in Kansas City where that crowd's crazy. So, and Mariota, I mean, again, he hasn't, and I don't trust those receivers to make the plays. They don't have anyone that really stands out as a receiving target. So Derrick Henry, yeah, he's pretty good. I think the Chiefs will focus on trying to take that run game away first, try and make Mariota pass the ball, and that's probably the way that they'll attack it. And that's just what the Titans need to stay away from. And I also think the Titans need to try and shorten this game on offense and kind of keep the Chiefs off the field and take the Chiefs crowd out of it. So that's my thoughts on the offense. What do you see from the defense these last couple of weeks that's allowed them to get back on this winning streak? And then what are you taking into the playoffs? Like, what are the bright spots on the defense that you think can show out this week? Jake?
We didn't have as many this 4-game stretch that we had 14 going into this 4-game stretch that we won, and we forced 9 in the last 4 games. So I think that was a big part of why we've won. We played San Diego, and all of their final 4 possessions ended in turnovers. That Saturday night game that we played against them, every possession in the fourth quarter, they had a turnover. Why we've been winning these games. Actually, I saw an interesting stat. I don't know the numbers of verbatim, but it showed the years that Eric Berry's played versus the years he hasn't played. And it's like 2013, 15, and 16. We all had over 30 turnovers. It was 31, 31, and 32 were the numbers. And then 2014, he didn't play, obviously, because he had the lymphoma midway through the year. We only had 14. Only had 14 at that point in time that I saw this number. And then we got the 9, obviously, in those last 4 games and got it up to 23. The Chiefs are really good at turnovers, like you said, and that's what I always liked about our defense. I wish we could fix the yardage, obviously, but I like the turnovers, and I wish that we could get some more scores on offense or on defense. I mean, Like we had the turnover against Denver. We ran a fumble back for a touchdown. I'd like to see a lot of that stuff. And like I said, the game's going to be cold. I looked it up. It's going to be it's going to be like 13 up until game time, and it's going to climb up through the 20s and up to the 30s through game time. But it's going to be like 13 until noon up in KC. So I think that'll play a big. I think that'll play a big part. It's kind of like the game last season against them, which was interesting. It was around there, and I find it funny. Like when Mariota played in high school, he played in Hawaii. Obviously, the coldest games he'd play in were like 72.
Yeah.
Like
he played in Hawaii. He played in Oregon, so he's not really used to the cold weather.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can force a few turnovers. We forced, I want to say 2 or 3 turnovers. I remember we had Dirty Dan, Daniel Sorensen got a fumble and a recovery in there, and I want to say there was an interception in there too. So about 2 or 3 turnovers last time we played them, but we weren't really able to capitalize on them. So I think that's going to be the big thing for our defense. Already talking about the offense, so but we got to capitalize on those opportunities that we get from our defense, like I said. And if we do that, if we get turnovers, if we allow them to get yards, we have to do what we do in the red zone, which is force turnovers. I remember last year, it was like a joke amongst Chiefs fans. Go, oh, thank God they're in the red zone, because we led the league in
especially
red
zone. The Steelers.
Yeah, because we led the league in red zone takeovers. Like I think it was more likely that you would have a turnover than a touchdown against our defense in the red zone, because most of the scoring was either was like field goals or you had a turnover. So it was crazy. So if we can do that, like you said, bend but don't break and get those turnovers, it'll be big. I'm assuming that we'll switch out Parker and Sorensen on Walker, because that would typically be Barry on a tight end.
Yeah.
The same thing when we play the Patriots. Barry trails on Gronk. So when Barry got hurt, we put Sorensen and Parker and transitioned them in and out. We actually do some of those zone blitzes with Sorensen and Parker too. Sides. Parker has like he's in the teens in his career sacks for a safety, which is pretty good. And most of that has come in his tenure at Kansas City under Bob Sutton. And Daniel Sorensen obviously is infamous for that jumping sack against Carson Wentz when he leaped over the lineman. So I think even if you're not a Chiefs fan, you know that one. So we'll get after them with our safeties, hopefully, and we'll see what we can do. So maybe we can give them a taste of their own medicine if they hit us with one of those safety blitzes, and hopefully we can come back and hit them with them, assuming they do one, which I think they will.
All right. So any final thoughts on the game? And then we'll just get the prediction. So for me, my final thoughts on this game, just looking at it, I just think Kansas City will be too much for the Titans in this game. Although the Titans do have some things going for them, like I think they do have a decent run game, a decent run defense that could slow down the Chiefs. And they do have some connections to the Pittsburgh scheme that could give the Chiefs offense maybe problems in parts. I think the Chiefs are going to get their first home playoff win in 24 years. Jake, that's a long time, bro. A long time. They're going to get their first playoff win at home in 24 years. The Titans will not get their first win in 9 years. And I think the Chiefs will actually win this one pretty easily. I think I see a big game for the Chiefs offense. And I think that the Titans may move the ball, but I think they'll be stalled in the red zone like Jake brought up. And I think the Chiefs will win 31-16.
Dude, by the way, that was not holding last year, just as a complete and total side note. That was not holding. He tripped over his own foot, but it's okay. Did I send you that picture last year when I broke my remote?
Probably.
I posted it on Twitter. Anyway, just first home playoff win. Please let it happen. But score prediction. I think this game will be. I think it'll be kind of close for the first little bit, and then I think we'll kind of pull away. I'm going to say 28-14. That's just kind of what I'm feeling in my gut. So I'm thinking it'll be kind of close at first, and then we'll eventually pull away. Hopefully, a big turnover will turn that tide. That's more so what I'm thinking. Our defense will give us and even though this video is not about Jacksonville and Buffalo, Jacksonville, you better freaking win, because I do not want to play the Steelers again. I do not want to play the Steelers again. So Jacksonville, you better freaking win. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll have a Jacksonville preview here on the channel as well. Hopefully we can have Jake back next week if the Chiefs do pull off the victory. So go check out the other previews. Jake, do you have anything to plug? Do you want to plug your Twitter or anything that you're doing with your football team or anything?
Jake Paul Barton, social media, everything, just Jake Paul Barton. You'll find me on that. No underscores or anything like that. I guess I'll do something cool. I found these new headphones the other day. I bought a new phone. I bought the Galaxy Note 8 phones. There was like the Samsung rep was there at AT&T. And he showed me these headphones that it's not these I have right now. It's another set. They're like Bluetooth. They're charging right now. And like you can store music on the headphones themselves. That has nothing to do with football, but I've just been so obsessed with these.
That's pretty cool.
So I've been using those, and I was going to use them for this, but they don't have a mic on them, so I'm using my other Samsung headphones for that. I have nothing to plug for my football team, unfortunately. Around football season next year, so August for high school football, you can pay attention to that. I'm a senior, so I'm going to be in college next year, but I'm always going to be coming back and supporting that. So I always tweet about how my high school teams are doing. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Jake Paul Barton, you can look at that. And I didn't want to point out, but I can't exactly remember. So go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah.
From Jake. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more NFL content. We'll have previews just like this, recaps of every game. You'll watch us get in a lot of arguments these playoffs as we break down the games. Peace out.